Well, this here is the all-new Tata Nexon. It's the new version for 2020, and this car receives a host of changes on the outside, a host of changes on the inside, and of course, it still retains that same solid build quality that it's known for. Now, in a segment which is completely loaded with a lot of rivals, this one really does stand out because of its styling. Which is your favorite car in this segment? You can let me know in the comments below. You can of course follow me on Instagram. My handle is flashing below your screen. You can follow me on Instagram and let me know over there which one is your favorite compact SUV. And you can also ask me questions over there, which car to buy or whatever you're planning to buy in the next few months or so. Anyways, let's talk about the Nexon today and tell you about its strengths, its weaknesses, and finally decide whether you should keep it in your shortlist when you're planning to buy your next compact SUV. But before beginning, here's a quick message from our sponsors, Budmore.com. Now, what is Budmore? Well, Budmore, as you might be aware by now, is the online expert in terms of spare parts. If you want a spare part for your vehicle, they have it in their list. They have the most extensive spare parts catalog, right from the most affordable small car to the top of the line luxury car, you name the car, and they have the spare parts for it. And the best point is that they have the spare parts from a host of different component makers and different price segments for the same spare part. So if you want to buy a cheaper part from a different maker or a more expensive part from a different component maker, they have the option for you. And they also promise you 10 days assured return without any hassles. If you don't like the spare part, you can send it back and they'll return all the money to you in the first 10 days. So Budmore.com is the name of the website. You can check them out on your iOS as well as Android devices as well. And they really are the experts when it comes to spare parts. Well, so let's quickly show you a walk around of this car. Now, the face of this car has been completely changed. If you remember the older Nexon, that car now suddenly looks very old in comparison to this car. And this car has a very nice and unique face. It looks very muscled up and very different from anything else out there. There's a huge grille, but it's all plastic cladding, so that's something good. There's a small opening over there to cool the radiator and stuff like that, so that's something good on this car. There's also a chrome strip running right below the grille. That gives it a unique touch as well and gives it a classy look as well. The front bumper is heavily sculpted. It's a very sculpted bumper, and of course you get this huge air dam just to cool the radiator, and that's something very good as well. Tri-stars over here in black as well as silver color. We haven't cleaned the car, so we apologize for that. So this color is silver and not brown, as you can see right now. Number plate over there, and of course the bumper, as I said, is heavily sculpted. On the side profile, you of course have the fog lamps, which have a C-section element outside surrounding them, which again adds to the visual flair of this car, and of course projector headlamps in the front headlamps over here. So this also gives it a unique look. There's a Nexon badge over here, but it's in all black, so it's difficult to read. And the wheel arches also, both in the front and at the back, have been flared up to give it a very muscled out look. So in terms of the looks and the appeal, it looks as if the Nexon has gone to the gym and really is on steroids. It really does look very unique and like a muscled up athlete out there. The tires, the alloy wheel design is rather plain and boring, but they of course are on 16-inch wheels, and of course these are R16 and they have a 215 section width, which gives it very good ride comfort. We'll get to that in a bit, but of course right now let's have a look at the exteriors. Again, contrasting lines over here, and of course this is all white and contrast with the grey on this car. Looks nice, looks muscled up, and it is also raising up when you go to the back from the A pillar to the C pillar. The raising waistline gives it a nice visual flair as well. Again, at the back you see clear lens tail lamps, which is a unique touch, and the first in this segment. Actually, no other car in this segment offers you clear lens lamps at the back. And again, a little bit of contrast in terms of the design with the roof is here. There's another white, theme running at the back of the car. Now this I think is a little too much, and Tata Motors should have avoided it at the back, and it really does look very busy. It looks very, very busy, overtly done, and too much happening at the back. But what do you reckon? Do you reckon that it's good and bad, or you think that Tata Motors should have kept the back end of the car a little subdued? I don't know. You let me know in the comments below, and you can also check this car out on my Instagram and let me know in the comments over there, because I have mentioned it along with the picture. The lower part of the bumper is again got that little tri-star effect going on to give it some kind of appeal, and of course reflectors at the back as well at the bottom half of the bumper. So just as I said, a little overtly done at the back, but what do you think? I'm sure that you have something to say about it in the comments below. Anyways, now let's see the boot, and after that we'll jump inside the interior and show you what's new on the new Tata Nexon 2020. Well, so talking about the boot of the Tata Nexon, as you can see, it's a nice and square boot. It's about 350 odd litres, which is really at par with its other rivals like the EcoSport and the Venue, and it's definitely ahead of its other rival, the XUV 300. In terms of the space and utility and the practicality, it's a good boot. There's a bit of a sill, but you can forgive it because it's a nice and square boot. Overall, if my mother-in-law had to score this boot or give a score to this boot, she'll give it a strong score of 8 out of 10. Well, so I'm in the back seat of the Tata Nexon now, and the front seats have been adjusted for my height and driving position, and my height for reference is 5'10". So if you're about 5'10", and your shop is also 5'10" or 5'11" even, you'll be quite happy in these seats because the seats have got plenty of knee room. I think this is one of the best cars in this segment for sheer space in the back. Which is the other car which is as good? You can let me know in the comment section below. It's also a wide car, so you can have 3 occupants without any issues, and the seats in general have that cushioned effect. They seem like the sofa at your home because the cushioning is so good, the backrest angle is so good, and just the comfort is exemplary over here. And really, I'll give double thumbs up to Tata Motors for developing such nice seats for the Nexon. Now, in terms of the negatives, there's only one negative, and that is that the C-pillar at the back is very big, so there isn't any quarter glass window over there. So sometimes maybe on a long distance highway journey, you might start feeling claustrophobic and might just want to stop the car for a while. But other than that, not an issue. Raising waistline also not such a big issue inside the cabin. A strong score of 9 out of 10. Well, so let's quickly talk about a couple of major strengths of the Nexon. The first big positive point is the front seat. The seats in the front are very comfortable. The support for your under thighs is good, support for your lower back is good, and I reckon the seats on this car are the best in the business. The second plus point is the fact that the doors have a very, very confidence inspiring sound when you shut them. And this is the safest car in this segment. Of course, remember, it gets that 5-star Euro NCAP rating, which makes it the safest car. In terms of features, it's quite decent. You get automatic headlamps, you get cruise control, you get multiple airbags, you of course get different driving modes. City drive mode activated. And you also get automatic climate control. You also get a function called Express Cool. And of course, if you use this button over here, when you use this function, the vents over here, the AC vents, have the maximum speed. They throw the air at the maximum speed, and of course the windows also roll down. So it's a good function for people who live in hot areas. In terms of the looks, what's new now is the fact that you get a completely digital display for the dials. The analog gauges are out. You get a completely digital display. It's nice to see. You also get tire pressure monitors in it, and you also get grey and white contrasting interior, so it looks very fancy. In terms of space, there's plenty of places to keep your odds and ends. Big 1 litre bottles in the door bins. Big bottles can go inside the glove box, and of course a huge place over here where you can keep your paraphernalia like your sunglasses, your goggles, your whatever you want to keep over there. The only big negative is that the touchscreen is very outdated now compared to its rivals, and also it's a small one. It's not as big as its fresher rivals, and compared to the EcoSport, the Nexon is quite behind, even compared to the Sonnet as well as the Venue. The touchscreen doesn't have the same kind of jazziness or the ease of operation that those cars often. That's a big negative because these cars are selling because of their features and the touchscreen as well. So that's something that Tata Motors should improve. But other than that, in terms of the space, the comfort, the build quality, a good place to be in. I'll give it a respectable score of 8 out of 10. Well, so here I am driving the Tata Nexon now. Now remember, this car comes with 2 engine options. There's a petrol 1.2, which makes about 120 bhp because it's turbocharged, and there's also 1.5 diesel, which is also a turbo unit, and that makes about 100 bhp. Now the petrol motor, if you decide to choose that, is of course an engine which only has 3 cylinders, so there's a little bit of turbo lag, and it's also not the most refined engine in the segment. So if you rev it hard, there's a little bit of buzziness which does enter the cabin, so that's something which you need to be aware about. The good point, of course, is that if you decide to choose the manual gearbox, you get a 6-speed unit, and the extra 6th gear means that the flexibility of this engine is greatly enhanced. So if you're driving this car on the highway, and let's say you're doing speeds in excess of 100 kph, and you're using the 6th gear, then the engine spins at a relatively low 1600, 1700 RPM, which makes the cabin a very nice and quiet place to be in, because at those revs, the engine isn't too buzzy. It becomes buzzy after you, of course, rev it beyond 2,500, 3,000 RPM. So that is something which is there. The gearbox is a 6-speed unit in the manual, and of course even in the AMT it's a 6-speed unit. It's a decent gearbox. It does need a heavy hand to shift. It's not a light gearbox like the Venue or the Sonnet or even the Brezza. So that's something which you need to take care about and think about. And in terms of usage, it's a decent gearbox. Well, the throws are accurate and they're quite okay. Of course, it's not the benchmark. The benchmark is the Brezza as well as the Venue and Sonnet, and this one is slightly behind those cars in terms of overall usage as well as ease of operation. The clutch also, I think, is slightly heavier on this petrol version of the car that we're driving today. Between the petrol and the diesel, I always recommend the diesel on this car because the diesel engine is supremely refined. It's very responsive and also good in terms of fuel efficiency. So the diesel engine on the Nexon is the one that I usually recommend. The petrol is also quite decent, but yes, if I had to choose between the two, I would tell you to buy the diesel version of the car. Now, talking about the ride comfort of this car is truly exemplary. In fact, it doesn't feel like a compact SUV, it feels like a much bigger car. Tata engineers have done a fantastic job with the ride comfort. This car offers you the best ride comfort in this segment, period. It is the car which really soaks in the bumps without any problems. No matter what speeds you're doing, slow city speeds, faster highway speeds, you're driving up the hills, you're driving on rumble strips, you're driving on badly patched roads, this car will soak in all the bumps, all the potholes, all the badly patched roads without any problem. And there's hardly anything which filters into the cabin. In fact, nothing really does filter into the cabin. It's the worst of worst roads which really might make their presence felt. And as I just said, it's the best car in this segment for sheer comfort. Well, so in terms of overall steering wheel feedback, the steering wheel offers you decent feedback, and the weight also is quite okay. It's slightly on the heavier side, so that's something which you need to take care about. In the city, it's okay, and the highway also, it gives you good communication as well as good confidence, but it's not as communicative or as quick-witted as the one on the EcoSport or even on the one on the Sonnet and Venue. So that's something which you have to think about. If you want the ultimate driver's car, it's still the EcoSport in this segment. No matter which engine you choose, the EcoSport has the advantage. This one is okay, but as I just said, still not really the benchmark. In terms of overall visibility, it's a good car because you get very chunky mirrors on the side, you get a good view of the road because the seats are nice and up, and of course a big mirrorway in the middle as well. And the A-pillar is chunky, but you can easily look around it without any fuss whatsoever, so the visibility is never an issue inside the Tata Nexon. Overall, it's a decent package, not the most fun to drive car because there's also a lot of body roll when you push into corners, and of course there has to be body roll because it's a SUV and a high side SUV. It's quite a tall SUV, so there has to be body roll. But yes, as I said, it's not the ultimate driver's car, but it's not a bad car to drive as well. If you are someone who uses this car for driving from point A to point B, then you will definitely enjoy the experience inside this car, and I reckon that it's a decent package in that sense. So overall, I'll give it a double thumbs up, and I reckon that a score of 88 out of 100 is justified for the Tata Nexon. Well, so overall, what really makes the Tata Nexon stand out is that 5-star safety rating. It really does feel like a solid car. Also, it's the best car in its segment for sheer comfort in the backseat as well as for ride comfort. And if these are the things which really do float your boat, then this is a car which you check out. In fact, these are things which really does make the Nexon stand out from a sea of other compact SUVs out there. So it might not have the same kind of features or the same kind of driving dynamics like some of its rivals, but if these are things which impress you, and they should, then definitely you should take a look at the Tata Nexon because it really is a very solid product and gives you a sense of security as well as safety every time you step inside it. Overall, a double thumbs up from my side to the new Nexon, the updated Nexon, and it's a car you should definitely keep in your shortlist if you're in the market for a compact SUV. It's bye for now, and thanks for watching.